All right. Hi, Patti. Thanks for joining me this afternoon.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So to kick things off, do you mind just taking a minute or two and giving some background on who is Patty Day and in what capacity do you serve the senior long-term care community?
Absolutely. So I've actually been in healthcare for over 20 years, and I started as a respiratory therapist so with direct patient care, and my career has just evolved over that time. Now, during the height of COVID, my father passed away from Alzheimer's, and he was in Florida. So we couldn't get to him in time to really navigate his health. So we were trying to do it all virtually, and it was really challenging, which made me realize that I need to pivot my career to helping families with their elderly parents or their senior parents navigate the healthcare system. I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted to do it, so I went into hospice because I really wanted to want the hospice benefit. I stayed about 3 years in hospice, and during my time in hospice is when I realized there's a real deficit for low-income seniors and the resources that are available to them. And so I kept reaching out to you, Katie, and saying, Katie, can you help me with the application? And, when I'm working with low income senior, a lot of times we're lucky if they have $900 a month. And so a lot of firms, it doesn't make sense lucratively for them. And so I thought, well, how can I help these individuals? So we pivoted and I started learning. Katie goes, Patty, you can do these apps for them. You don't have to try to find someone to pay when they're low income. And I was like, oh my gosh, like the lights went on and I thought, well, let's do it. And then, Katie, you were so generous in showing me your program, showing me how Stronghold does their application and the standard that you guys exceed. And I was like, this is fantastic. By doing the application, it has allowed us to grow our business. We have grown it almost triple within 2 years. And it's given us the opportunity to reach a lot of seniors that wouldn't normally have received help. And having that application where we can get it done efficiently and accurately and have a pretty much 100% approval of eligibility, it's just really allowed us to make an impact on our community.
I love it. Yeah, I remember when we were first introduced, and I was just so blown away by your heart for the low income seniors of Arizona specifically. So it was fun to brainstorm the best way to help you accomplish your vision, what you were wanting to accomplish with that population. That really is the population that's like the most vulnerable, that's truly the most in need of this type of help. So yeah, that's coming up on about 2 years now, right?
We're going to be 2 years in April.
Nice. That's exciting. So, you kind of alluded to this, but I mean, what was the real driving force behind why you wanted to start learning how to do the ALTCS applications? Is there anything that you would expand on about that?
A lot of it was because of the services provided. So I have a lot of seniors that would be in their home. We'd go in to look at them for hospice, but their living conditions were not safe. And so we needed to get them into an assisted living, either a community or residential assisted living home. But unfortunately, the resources weren't always available for the individual to be able to do that. And so that's where we would lean on the ALTCS application. And I realized that being able to efficiently and effectively help individuals get into your home, and that made a great impact. And that was like, okay, I can make a difference here. I can really help these seniors get the help they need, let them age in place in their new home, and then they can get the services that they need. Because oftentimes, even a ancillary service like hospice, if the home is full, and I've seen this, I can bed bugs, if there's mold, if there's a hoarder, and it's an unsafe living situation, they're not going to get the ancillary services that they need by trying to stay in that home environment. Sometimes they don't even have food for it. So it's really important that we get these seniors out of these unsafe living conditions and into somewhere that they can be cared for. And but that to me was the driving force of really learning how to do these applications and do it quickly, because if you get the delay, like if you leave it up to the individual, and if there's any type of delay, you can be looking at, oh my gosh, now you're going to deny your application and you'd have to restart. And that's quite a lot of people don't benefit. And I would see that. And so it's like when we were able to step in and just try to build and work as their authorized representative towards the goal, we were able to cut down the time that they need to go through the application process, and they were able to get into a big situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. But the statistic is that 80% of ALTCS applications are declined, which is just horrifying to think about.
And another component of that can be a lot of times we're started in the hospital. And some people don't even know they're started. And they don't even know really what the benefit is. So being able to really communicate and help educate is so important.
Yeah.
And do.
For sure. So prior to me teaching you how to do ALTCS applications, did you have any experience with ALTCS prior to that? And if so, what was it?
I didn't. The only thing I knew of ALTCS was that when we were in hospital, you have a social worker. And so when we would have somebody that was low income and we were in a living situation, they'd say, oh, let's try ALTCS. And so the social worker would have to handle it. Well, social workers were really capable. So yeah, they can do it, but so I would just like hand it off to somebody else, and I didn't get involved.
Yeah.
But I knew that in order to really help and do what I wanted to do and really stay in that role, I needed to be able to understand more.
Yeah. And so now, we had this conversation. We decided that for what you were wanting to accomplish, it made a lot more sense for me to teach you how to actually do the ALTCS applications the Stronghold way, which is, a 100% success rate, 4-week average approval time. I think what you had originally approached me about, if I remember correctly, was trying to do them for your nonprofit, like my firm do the ALTCS applications and the nonprofit pay us like a reduced fee or something compared to my firm's normal fee rate. And I remember just realizing like it just makes so much more sense for what you're trying to accomplish for me to just teach you how to do this yourself. It's going to be a better outcome for honestly like all parties involved, which I'm always trying to figure out how to create a win-win for everyone. So we went through a little training. I taught you how to do things the Stronghold way. And what has your experience been with the ALTCS application process since?
And then been really great, honestly. At first, it's a little overwhelming because there's a lot of information, but because the way you laid it out for me was so structured, it really made it seamless. It made it seamless enough that not only did because when I started the business, it was just I was a one-man band. And so I was doing everything, where now we've gotten to the point where your program is so seamless. I was able to train an employee who now handles all of my ALTCS applications.
I love it. And what is I think you alluded to it earlier. What's your success rate with the application approvals? What's that been?
We have a 100% success rate. We've been just, and I don't want to say we've been fortunate because honestly, it's a program that if you run the program the way it should be run, like if you go by how you taught me, there isn't a reason why your candidate shouldn't be eligible. Your patient, your client, whatever field you're in, there's not a reason why you use the Stronghold way that they shouldn't be eligible at the end, because there's so much that is done in prep before to make sure they're eligible. That's why we have the I stop it. I stop the application. If I look and medically they're not going to be eligible, we're not going to go and charge somebody money to do the application that we know they're not there yet. So we can tell the family they're not there yet. This is where we're at. And I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later. How we really you have lost that air for us, and it has made a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like everyone's in such, I get that these are crisis situations. You have people who can't afford to private pay for even a month of care in a lot of cases, and they need the care so badly and they deserve it. So everyone's in like crisis mode and just goes and registers an ALTCS application. And it's like, slow your roll. Let's like compose ourselves and take a breath and figure out, is this even really the right direction to be going? Is this the right path to be headed down? because as you mentioned, sometimes you identify it's not. And so that person still needs a plan, but ALTCS isn't the right plan. So we should find out now rather than several weeks from now when ALTCS ends up declining the application. And now we're just back at square one trying to figure out, well, where do we go from here? You just lost, 4 weeks time. In some cases longer.
But something with that, Katie, too, is anybody that does placement, is if you place somebody in a home saying, okay, the ALTCS application has been started, and they're giving you a rate, knowing that they're going to be eligible for ALTCS, and then that individual doesn't get approved for ALTCS. Now you've got them in a home that they can't afford to be. They've already used their resources, as limited as they were. So so we prevent all of that, right? And because of the relationship that we have with our homes, so because of our 100% success rate, they are willing to work with us on placement because they know, are you the author interest? Yep, we are. Done. Patti, bring them. We'll take them.
Yeah.
So if they don't feel confident in that application, or the person that's writing the application and completing it, if they don't feel confident, the homeowner, they're not going to give you, we've discounted rates, they're not going to give you the same rates that they may if they feel confident in
Yeah. And I don't blame them. I mean, if you go back to an 80% decline rate, why, from a business perspective, what assisted living provider can afford to take that chance? That's not a sound business decision. And it's unfortunate, we're talking about human beings, like people's lives here. And so on the one hand, it's like, it's so unfortunate that it has to come down to the business, the finances of it all too. But at the same time, we're all business owners. We all have to pay our bills and make a living. And so unfortunately, that does factor in. And I would imagine too, the speed, not just the success rate that you have, but I would imagine the speed with which you're getting the applications approved probably also helps to build that trust with the care home owners, where they know it's not going to take. I mean, again, if you call ALTCS, I've never called ALTCS and asked this myself, but I have clients that have hired us that have said, before calling you, I called ALTCS and I asked, how long will this take me to get through the application process? And ALTCS apparently tells them 4 to 6 months. Now, that has to be because there's at least 1, if not 2, maybe even 3 declines in there, But even so, I mean, if a care homeowner thinks it's going to take 4 to 6 months to get approval, then how many of them can afford to sit there with basically no payer? Yes, maybe the person's income, but no payer for that long of a time frame.
Yeah, they really appreciate it. The homeowners are so great. And even the community, because they lead with a loving heart. They do this for a reason. And so they want to help.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when they get burned so many times, then they don't have the resources to care for everybody. So I have to be diligent. And as long as everybody is working towards the same goal, it can be a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So what has been your average approval time frame? Have you guys gotten a sense of that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I would say on average, it's about 4 to 6 weeks. 6 weeks would be the longest, but we've been getting like the 3 weeks right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I know ALTCS is so bogged down lately. They're understaffed and they're overburdened. That things have been a little bit on the slower side, but yeah, about 4 weeks on average. I'm excited to hear that you've had that experience, and that's part of, I think what's exciting about, what I'm launching here is if the ripple effect of it all, if 80% of the applications are declined and ALTCS is so bogged down right now and inundated, how much better is the outcome going to be for everybody if so many of the applications that they're getting right now that are garbage and getting declined didn't even come through the door in the first place? Then they can do their jobs more effectively. They're not stressed out. They're not frustrated. They're able to work with cleaner applications. and everybody gets approvals that much faster across the board. So,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
that's fantastic.
So how many, I know you mentioned that your business has like tripled in the last 2 years, which is mind blowing, but also not surprising because I've had the pleasure of watching, how you work with your clients, with my clients, and you clearly do it the right way, the way that it all should be done. So I'm not remotely surprised, but it's impressive nonetheless. So how many applications for ALTCS would you say you guys have grown to be doing on a monthly basis?
I'll tell you, we have grown to the volume where I had to hire a full-time employee to manage the application. And financially, we've been able to support it through the application. So, yeah, it's been really, really good. You can really, you can make a difference, and you can also have that revenue to support somebody if that's the direction you're going in your business, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long did it take, if you recall, to get to that point? At what point did you have to bring your next team member on to assist?
Exactly when it was. So I started my business in April of 2022. And by February of 23, I hired my first full-time employee. So, and then, yeah, if we continue to stay on this trajectory, we're going to have.
That's awesome. And so you obviously said, we've been able, it's become a lucrative enough revenue source for us that I was able to bring on more team members. So you are charging an application fee to the seniors or their families for your services, right?
We do. And, the biggest thing for us is we want to make sure that we're looking at all the aspects, right? Because some applications are going to take more time than other applications. And as you do them, you're going to be able to gauge how much time is going to be needed per application. So with my employee right now, my Amy screwed over application. For with Amy, what she does is she can look at it and she knows what she's got it pretty locked in. And so we range anywhere from about $750 to about $2,000 per application, depending on the time that's going to be involved.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes total sense. It's like, I know the intake process that you go through, right? Because I showed you ours. And yeah, as soon as you go through that financial intake process, you start to get a pretty good sense pretty quickly of the things that are standing out that are going to take more time to navigate, for sure.
And to even speak further on that, with the medical portion of it, we know very quickly when someone says, oh, we have dementia, but maybe we don't have a definitive diagnosis. We now know that we're going to have certain things that we're going to have to get from providers to support that diagnosis. So those also are another indicator.
Yeah. Okay. So is it safe to say then, just to give people an idea of what's possible, the opportunity that they have in front of them? You had to hire a new staff member. Is it safe to say that you have created a 5-figure a month revenue source on top of your existing core business?
Correct.
Yeah, so just from the ALTCS application service alone.
Yeah, that's just one arm of revenue for us. So it has been a great benefit to us in the other areas of the business. It's helped grow the other areas of the business.
Yeah.
But that arm itself has become its own. And I didn't know that it would become its complete own world, sustainable entity, but it is.
I remember when you first started and you were going to even do them for free for everyone. And I was like,
and I was thinking,
you can't do, obviously we all have the pro bono situations from time to time that, we can't do them all the time, but I'm sure you have those. But
it definitely do pro bono. But again, we have certain number of pro bono that we can do. We max it. But yeah, I was delusional.
Yeah.
Extra added benefit. No, you need to charge that because it's time consuming and it, yeah.
One of the things I'm curious if you notice this in your business as well is there is such a difference in the family's level of participation in the process, when you charge a fee versus do it pro bono. When they have skin in the game, they take it more seriously.
Oh yeah, for sure. They
Yeah.
definitely do. And you can get an idea because when you're talking with families and you're like, finding out where they are, sort of, that also plays a impact for us. We look and go, okay, what's realistic? What's going to make sense for this family? It's smart and what that rate is going to look like as well. But yeah, no, when they know that they've had to, and I honestly have not had a family absolutely confused to do it because of that. I'm not. I mean, they generally will go, okay, let's move forward.
Yeah.
We make it to where it makes sense to them. They see the value.
Exactly. Once you understand what their pain point is, what their problem is that they need solved. And when you listen to that and you have the facts from their end, and then you can position how the ALTCS program can solve that problem for them, they realize very quickly that a $750 to $2,000 investment to achieve this end result is a no-brainer, quite frankly. Yeah.
Absolutely. That was one of the things that I learned from you too when I wanted to do it free. And you were really good about helping coach me along that and think the value path. And then that's really changed my mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So do you find, is it typically the ALTCS applicant themselves that does have enough resources saved up in their account to hire your firm? Or is it more often the family? Do you have a sense as to how that shakes out?
It depends. Because I do work with such a low income, for the most part, yeah, I would probably say the majority, the individual can generally afford our rate. But we do often have families come in and go, not a problem, we got it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we haven't had a problem with the rate and where they are. That's being able to.
Yeah. And again, it goes back to just showing the value on the front end and everything that they're going to get from hiring you and what your team brings to the table and the track record and the time frame. Because I mean,
if we work with a fiduciary and we're waiting for guardianship, money starts stacking up. Mm-hmm. So then that gives us a little bit of because we get a lot of those. So that helps,
Yeah, I mean, you start to do the math and you realize very quickly if the application's declined or if it takes 4 to 6 months or 2 to 3 months or whatever, the family ends up private paying more in care costs than your fee. So it's all in how you present it for sure. And do you have a sense as to how many hours? And again, I know it varies, but and that's what your fee range is based on. But do you have a sense as to how many hours you would estimate it takes your team to spend on one ALTCS application from start to finish for one client? If there's nothing weird going on.
If it's really straightforward, I'm just gonna throw if you're I don't know, maybe 5 hours. 5 hours.
Okay.
If it's really easy, if it's a really, really easy one where there are no assets, there's only one check-in there, like if it's just really straightforward, and a lot of that just really depends, like our prep time on that it gets cut down, but then it's just the waiting game of the, assessors and then assessment. Yeah. I mean, an assessment for medical is only an hour. We stay on those calls with the medical assessor. And then the financial portion of it, if it's straightforward, we can do the initial interview portion for another hour. Then it takes maybe 20 minutes to do it with the assessor. So I think 3 to 5 hours if it's really basic.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, I mean, if you break that down to the $750 price point even for your fee and 3 to 5 hours, I mean, that's obviously a good return on time investment.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
So if hours aren't consistently fitted at working on one.
Right. Yeah.
Over a period of time. So you'll be surprised at how many apps you can get going at one time with one person.
Yeah, for sure. So talk a little bit about your experience working with me through the training process that we went through together. Were there things that really stood out to you that you loved or enjoyed the most, or anything that you found to be the most helpful or valuable through the process of showing you how Stronghold Financial navigates this process for our own clients?
Absolutely. One of the things, well, first of all, I love the structure that you gave in the guideline, breaking it down. These are the key points. It's almost like scripting it for it. Like you really detail it for it. And then on top of that, you allow them to hear a live call, so we got to actually hear that interaction, the things that they were asking. And then even more so, we were able to communicate with you. We were able to come back and be like, okay, as your coach, what we need to look at, what's an area that's a pain point for you. And so all of those things were it made it really seamless going through the process. And let me tell you, don't just word it once and then you're like, I've got this. No. And even now today, we reach out to you and be like, hey, I got the, what do you think? There's some guidance on this one, like, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
So it's just nice having that continued resource of having accessibility to you. And I know we're going to talk about it, but I cannot say enough. Your free screen call is, there is no value I could feel. And it's just amazing. It's just a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
That's a real game changer.
Yeah, let's talk about that in a second. But just to piggyback on what you were saying, it's so funny how there is always something new that comes up with the ALTCS applications, isn't there? Like even for us to this day, I don't even know how many things in the past week alone. I was like, what the? This has never happened in all the years of us doing this and all the applications. So it's just, it never gets dull, right?
And what's funny too, when you think about it, it's like, too, you get to know your assessor, and certain assessors will ask certain things, but other assessors, they don't focus on that particular thing. And then they're, oh, well, now, we're cracking down on this now, so we're really honing in on this. And yeah, it's ever changing.
Yeah, I know that's one of the things I always try to keep you in the loop on is, it's always on the medical side more than the financial side of things, but it definitely seems like they change the way their interpretations of things more frequently on the medical eligibility side than the financial, which is much more black and white.
And that's one of the things that I learned that I did not knowing all that and going into it. I figured that it would be the financial, like that would be the bigger obstacle. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that really it's medical. This is the bigger obstacle.
Yeah. The statistic last I heard is that 70% of the declines are because of medical eligibility. So 80% of apps are declined in the first place. And then of those 80%, 70% of it is for not being medically eligible. So I think that's the perfect segue into, what you've been chomping at the bit to talk about. It all hinges on the medical eligibility. If someone is not medically eligible for ALTCS, then ALTCS is not for them. There's nothing we can do on the financial side, even if they have $500 a month of Social Security and $1 in the bank. And so that's why it's so important to find out on the front end, rather than 4 weeks from now when the PASS assessment, the medical assessment, is taking place. We've got to find out now if the person is even medically eligible for ALTCS or not. And so why don't you share what you were wanting to share about that side of things?
And that alone, that we had made Amy's job so much easier, because for me clinically, what I do is I will gather, the critical notes if they're in hospital and current PTOT notes. So I'll grab a lot of information, and because I have a clinical background, I'm able to look at those things and go, okay, no, we're not there yet. And you get to know, right? You do enough apps, you get to get familiar with. There's still ones that I'm going to have question on. And then now I have a resource, because with your pre-screen that you guys do, you have that medical assessment that actually works for the state, you know how to score and score accurately. So if I'm like, well, this is a real borderline, I don't know, I can tell my family that I'm working with, hey, for this cost, we can have you do a big screen with Stronghold Financial. Let's find out where you're scoring and if it's time for the application. And that's why we have 100% success rate, because we're not sitting there just hoping or, no, we know it. Our family understand and know. And the way that you give a detailed report is amazing. I love it because now I know what areas we need to be looking for in changes of level of care going forward. So it's just, it's just amazing. I absolutely love it. I can't say enough about it. I mean, oh my gosh. I don't know where we is it all the time. So
I don't know where I would be without it. I thank God, like every day that Tammy and Kelly are in my life, the universe brought them to me. I used to do their job for our firm before them and like muddled my way through it. And I thank God every day that I didn't mess something up for someone. I mean, I somehow learned it pretty well where I had a 100% success rate myself, but them taking all of that off of my plate has been just such a weight off my shoulders. It's such a blessing to have them on our team.
Well, it's absolutely wonderful. And it's such a great tool to have in your belt to be like, okay. And even like with the residential assisted living homes, if you're working in the senior community, that's a really great tool to have in your belt to be able to help these homes. Well, if they're, I think we need to do all that. Well, if it's a borderline or they're unsure, let's find out.
Yeah.
And I even have a home that, Katie, you know about this, where they, it's a low income home for individuals who are not eligible yet for the benefit. And so they stay in this home, and then once they become eligible, they move into the default home. It's changing now where they have to be in home first, and then do they need medical assistance? But I'm not going to get down that rabbit hole. But with this home is the main thing that I work with. And so we'll go in there and we'll get as much as we can, but sometimes it's so limited. And so when Tammy does those pre-screens for us, it's amazing because we have documentation for that homeowner. This is where they're scoring. This is what they're at. This is what you need to be looking for when we get there. Let's call down.
Yeah.
And we'll look at it again, but we're not going to do ask and for no.
Yeah.
And if they are there, great. We're like, full steam ahead.
Yeah. Which, if I recall correctly, a few of the pre-screens for that particular home came back where the individuals look medically eligible.
I think it was like 7 or 8 that we sent over.
Yeah.
8. And 4 of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was about half. So just for anyone who isn't familiar with the process that we're talking about, I'll give a little context. So I have a couple of women who work for my firm who used to be ALTCS medical assessors before they joined our team. And so we always put 100% of our clients through this medical pre-screen process before we will allow anyone to hire us further. And we charge a minimal fee for it. It's about $100. We don't make a profit on it. It's just fee for our time. And for this medical pre-screen fee, our medical eligibility coordinators will get on the phone with the primary caregiver for the person. So whoever's most familiar with their need for help, if it's a family member or they're in an assisted living setting or whatever the case may be. And they will literally ask all the questions that are asked in the real ALTCS medical interview and score the person the way that when they worked for ALTCS, this is how they would have scored. Or as things have evolved, and we know that ALTCS is changing the way that they, do certain things, that evolves, obviously. So bottom line is we get a really, detailed breakdown of here's how they would score in each category. Here's what it all totals up to. And we're able to see, do they get to 60 plus points? Great. We're headed down the right path. Or did they fall short of 60 and they're not medically eligible for ALTCS right now? And we've got to figure out a different plan. And it's been a phenomenal process for us to implement with our own clients. And I know that you, like you said, you utilize it for your clients on an as needed basis. Some you've been able to identify by now are just a shoe in. But how often, if you had to put a number on it, I know it seems to go in spurts too. But do you have a sense as to like how many per month you have us do?
Well, maybe we do a percentage, maybe like 5%, 30%.
Okay. So I mean it's a few.
Yeah, it would give, and the reason for that is really because I have that pretty good at wanting to get on them.
Yeah.
And if you are new to this and you're not, then definitely give into being utilized for assessment until you get comfortable. And then I do get a lot of detailed, really detailed clinical history from hospitals. So that would be, but I would say, thinking when you're any, would you say about 30, 37 I mean, yeah, easily 30.
Yeah. Yeah. Which just going off the numbers, I think would, yeah, be a handful a month then.
It is, yeah.
And then
More than that month, the greater the phenomenon.
yeah. So I know you talked a little bit about this at the beginning, but just to kind of circle back and close this up for everybody, what impact has learning how to do the ALTCS applications had on everything across the board? I mean, your clients, your relationships with your referral partners, your business, your personal life, like whatever you want to talk about. How has this impacted your life?
It's had an immense impact on my life. By utilizing this tool, by using, being able to do these applications for my clients, it has really brought value to the services that I offer. And it has allowed us to grow in a rate that I never would have expected. It has allowed me to establish new relationships with individuals that I never would have expected in the younger community, and to only just further help with my reputation and with referral to the business. It's helped our homeowners. We've seen so many success stories alone just from our family that are like, we didn't think this was possible. So it fills my cup in so many ways, from business to professional relationships to the families that we hold. And truly feel blessed every day that we get to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm curious, have we were talking a little bit before this and you made a comment. It sounds like you're not having to go out and like hit it hard doing marketing. Like you're staying, the growth you've experienced over the past 2 years, which is astronomical growth, has been like grassroots, word of mouth, just all referral based.
Because of the service that we provide through the ALTCS application, that is such a key factor in services. We also do other services before, but that has been such an impact that we have not spent $1.
Wow.
That's not true. We have bought some brochures and some business cards, but I probably still have.
I don't really consider that marketing though. you need it like hard.
But as far as like actual marketing dollars, we have,
Yeah.
it's been all word of mouth. Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
like, we've been really
anyone would love that profit margin.
no, it's crazy to me when I look at it and I'm like, I can't believe what we've built, and it's just been being able to serve our scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love about you and your team is how you put some of that profit back into the community and the population that you're serving, and you do end up paying for things for your low income seniors that are vulnerable and in positions where they can't afford it. They don't have anyone in their family to, chip in and help. And you guys do so much for them in so many other ways. So,
I mean, where we see a need, we feel very blessed to be able to do what we do. And then I think another reason why we have built a reputation now is because we do give back. So we have money that we put aside that we're like, okay, they can't afford their transportation, well, they can't afford their rent. So by doing those things, that has just further solidified those relationships with our homes. We take that on top of the fact that we actually manage the care of a resident in one home. As far as not manage it, like take it away from them, but we help coordinate things for them that are time consuming. But comes to coordinating by hours, those nation, those things that are just time suffering, we can take some of that off the plate for some of our homes, and they really appreciate that as well.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw in a bonus question for you, if you're okay with it. I didn't want to blindside you, so I know I sent you the questions in advance. But so as you know, I'm launching a course that is designed to teach seniors who serve the seniors professionals who serve the senior long-term care community how to do ALTCS applications the Stronghold way, like we've done together. And so what would you say to someone who maybe they're watching this interview, maybe they're interested in signing up, but they're a little on the fence about it? Is there any feedback or advice or something that you would say to that person?
I would say you really can't afford not. I would say do it. The experience, the support you will receive, and then the impact that you'll make in your community, it is going to be so worth it. Yeah, I would say you can't afford it. Like, I would say do it. I mean, Katie, I'm one of your biggest fans. I am. Because I for the way that you have helped so many of you in my life, because I am happy to, when I hear about resources and people spending down, I just trend to somebody, wait, let me have you talk to Katie first. What you have done and how many families you have helped. There's so much to learn from you, and I know I even have more. It's an ongoing process, and even for them to even just get a nugget from you, it is so valuable. So I would say absolutely 100% you're important.
Well, I love, again, it goes back to creating a win-win for everyone. I think it's pretty common that everybody in the senior care industry wants to make an impact. And at the same time, we have to make a living ourselves at the same time. And so when you can find a way to make an impact and monetize it in a meaningful way at the same time, and create these life-changing outcomes for the people who are so in need and so deserving of them, I know it's a really fulfilling line of work to be in. And I think what I'm most excited about with the launch of this program is the impact, quite frankly, because when I think about how many seniors you help a year, I mean, you are helping, can I say it, like close to 200 seniors a year, right?
Yeah.
Through this service. I mean, that's 200 people who my firm never would have been able to help. And so if you think about that multiplied out over, how many people could learn how to do this as well that are interacting with how many seniors on a day-to-day basis, it's like the ripple effect of what that could turn into is what fires me up the most about this entire thing. So I've loved the partnership that we've had over the past couple of years. And I know you said you're my biggest fan or whatever. I mean, the feeling is mutual for sure. And I'm just so thrilled at the impact that you've had on the senior care community with people who are just so deserving of it. So I won't keep you any longer. Thank you so much for taking time out of your clearly very busy life to hop onto this interview with me this afternoon. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. I appreciate you too.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye, Patti.